Welcome to our presentation on prolific and modernist architect I.M. Pei. Io Ming Pei was born on April 26 in 1917 in Guangzhou, China. Pei was born into a Chinese noble family who can trace their ancestry back to the Ming Dynasty. In 1927, when Pei was just 10 years old, he and his family moved to Shanghai, which was called the Paris of the East. The many different architecturally styled buildings had a profound influence in the young boy's life. While living in Shanghai, Pei often visited the Shaozhou Gardens, which he would later credit with having an influence on his architectural style. Pei has said, "I was not aware that I learned something from my experiences in Suzhou until much later. When I think about it in retrospect, I must say that it did have an influence on my work." Pei goes on to say, "It made me aware of the complementarity of man and nature, not nature alone. Somehow the hand of man joining with nature becomes the essence of creativity. The gardens of Suzhou taught me that lesson." In 1935, Pei boarded a ship to America to attend college. He decided to attend the University of Pennsylvania. Here is a picture of Pei from his immigration file. This picture was taken upon his arrival to America. Pei disillusioned with the teaching style at the University of Pennsylvania and their curriculum of Beaux Arts architecture, decided to transfer to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where he graduated in 1940. It was at MIT that Pei discovered architect Le Corbusier, whose modern designs influenced Pei greatly. Le Corbusier visited MIT, and Pei went on to say that those days that he visited were the most important days in his architectural education. During World War II, Pei left his studies at Harvard to join the National Defense Research Committee. After the war, he returned to Harvard and graduated in 1946 with his master's in architecture. After graduating with his master's in architecture from Harvard, Pei became an associate professor there. A couple of years later, he was recruited by the firm of Webb and Knapp in New York City. Here are some early examples of his work. The first design Pei did for Webb and Knapp was the Gulf Oil Building in Atlanta, Georgia. At 50,000 square feet, the Gulf Oil Building was completed in only 4 months. It was dedicated in 1949. In 1955, Pei left Webb and Knapp to start his own architecture firm. The Mile High Center was his first major project. The steel, glass, and aluminum building was 23 stories high and was considered Denver's first high-rise. It was demolished in 1996. Le Enfant Plaza in Washington, D.C. is another example of Pei's early work. The style of architecture for this plaza is referred to as brutalism. Brutalism was popular in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s.
The John F. Kennedy Library was the turning point in Pei's career. Officially dedicated in October of 1979 in Boston, Massachusetts. This was Pei's first major work. He was chosen among many more well-known architects at the time. Jacqueline Kennedy selected him because she felt he was so filled with promise and had the imagination and temperament to create a structure that would reinforce her visions of the goals of the library. Pei's solution to this task consisted of a triangular 9-story tower housing archival, educational, and administrative functions, a 2-story base containing exhibition space, 2 large theaters, and a 115-foot-high memorial pavilion. Pei has stated that its openness is the essence. People will conclude their visit to the library in a restful place where they can linger, look at the view, and reflect on what they have seen. The JFK Library put Pei on the map, and only a few years later he embarked on his most well-known work, the modernization of the Louvre in Paris, France, which officially opened in 1989. Pei's renovation redesigned the main court of the Louvre in order to reduce congestion from visitors. A new grand entrance provided a convenient central lobby space. He also designed an underground system which allowed the Louvre to expand its collection and place more work on exhibit. Another well-known building of Pei's is the Bank of China Tower in Hong Kong. Its innovative composite structural system of steel and concrete resists high velocity, which was a necessity for this typhoon-ridden area. The bamboo plant was also a significant inspiration for this building. The trunk of its structure is representative of the growth patterns of bamboo, the symbol of hope and revitalization in the Chinese culture. Pei is one of the world's most successful and well-known architects. He's been a part of over 60 projects over his 6-decade career. Geometric shapes, carefully planned spaces, and use of glass and concrete soon have become his trademark. Pei designs with the modernist ideology, form follows function, or intention. He's gone on to say, architecture is the very mirror of life. You only have to cast your eyes on buildings to feel the presence of the past, the spirit of the place. They are the reflection of society.
While it's impossible to showcase all of Pei's architectural designs in this presentation, here are some examples of his better-known works. This past April, Pei celebrated his 101st birthday. This picture is of his 100th birthday party. The cake is a replica of his design of the Museum of Islamic Art. Well, we've come to the end of our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching.